is up, everybody? We are here about 30 minutes late. Jesus, can we ever be on time? Can I ever be on time? I don't know. I think that people who know me will say that that Joseph is never on time, but that doesn't matter because I'm always good with good content. So, it is another week of Fan2Fan. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining in. Thanks you so much for watching. As we navigate through the technical issues this week, the new technical issue was just Wirecast having a new updated system and basically having to incorporate all the assets that you have to do. You have to put in so many assets and you have to make sure the sound is good with each asset. It is a process. It's a process that normally takes anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to prep depending on the situation. Also, I got a little complicated because I wanted to bring you something a little cool. I love it. It's something that I say fits with the norm. Calvin is not here today. He is actually battling West Coast fires, which is definitely not good. Has no internet, no power. We hope he is safe. We hope that, him, like many, many thousands of others, are safe. I feel like 2020 just can't get any worse. Heidi is here in studio, as she always is. But I feel like 2020 is just constantly just one bad thing after another.
I mean, it's been a little rough.
It's been
we've had
pretty bad.
Better than a lot of people.
It's been pretty bad. I saw this one meme that was actually interesting where it had 2020 is the worst year ever. And essentially, it has a person typing on his computer. But if you go 500 years ago, Dark Ages, it was pretty bad then too. So it's, could be worse.
Yeah.
We don't have any plagues going on. There's not millions of people dying. There are thousands of people dying, unfortunately, because of COVID, but not millions like the plague of the Dark Ages. So, I guess it's better than nothing. But the one thing that is positive, the one thing that is going well and surprisingly well is sports. Sports is 100% back. I don't want to, so let me correct myself. 100% back? No. Let's say that it's probably about 60% back because without the fans, it's 60%. But there is live sports and there's a lot of it. Right now, we are literally broadcasting. There is live U.S. Open tennis. There is live, which we're going to get into in a second. There is live NFL football starting the season, live NBA playoffs, live Major League Baseball, all of this happening, live college football. There's so many sports going on. Tempted to the point where we said maybe we shouldn't go on tonight because then we're taken away from viewers who are sports. However, I will say this. I will say that we are going to go on and we're going to keep plugging away because while you're watching a game, things might happen and you might notice things and we want to talk about it. Plus, we love doing this. We love having fun. So, that being said, the NFL is back. Today is game 1. And by the way, if you're watching, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That's the normal spiel. Share, tell a friend. We're on social media at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Fan2Fan Show. That being said, the NFL is back. Yes, game 1 of the NFL 2020-2021 season is here, kicking off with the Chiefs versus the Jaguars. And here's the amazing thing about sports. Sports is battling a pandemic. Sports is really going in to what we all know of having to bring joy and having to bring good things to the people, a distraction from the 2020 mess that is 2020. But sports isn't back completely. We know that the fans are not there. Today's NFL game is going to have 25% of the people at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. That's about 17,000 people. That stadium normally seats about 75,000. Without you guys, there is no 100% back sports. But the thing that we know is that the NFL has done a good job, and give credit where credit is due. The NFL has had over 44,000 tests done for COVID for their players, personnel, trainers, coaches, front office, all the people associated, press, media. Only one positive. So right now the NFL is doing even better than the NBA, which until this time we touted their success. But here's the thing that we have to understand. We're in a age of information and reality. You have this pandemic going on. You have sports trying to be played, and there was no delays. There was no preseason, but there was no delays. And at the end of the day, the NFL has come out on top for the moment. A lot of people are wondering if they're going to be able to get through the season. If they get through the season, at what cost are we going to see the season happen? I mean, now the teams have to actually travel. They have to actually get on planes. So what we have now is an NFL season starting in probably one of the worst years in recent memory, a pandemic going on, and so many other things that are happening. However, the NFL continues to surprise us by allowing the players to tout and speak and protest the way they want to a certain extent. At each end zone of the stadium, you're going to have vote, and I believe the other one is equality. Those are the two words that the NFL are touting. Players will allowed to put their own social justice on their jerseys, something that the NFL has not done in the past. So are we seeing a change here? Are we seeing sports leading the way? Sports has led the way in other aspects, has for about 50 years, I would say. Sports has, whenever there's something going on, sports has been the one to take the justice and say, maybe it's time for a change. We're seeing that. The NFL said they never would support protesting and kneeling at the national anthem. At the beginning of this game, there was kneeling, and it was by both teams, including coaches. Very interesting, very spectacular. On next week's show, we will definitely talk about that. But the NFL right now is doing something that they've never done, which is they are being a little proactive. Now, that being said, the season has just started. We'll see how this goes along. But have to give credit where credit is due. They are doing something nice. So, right now, I believe a score.
Shall I give you the score?
Please give me the score. What is the score?
The Chiefs are leading the Texans 14-7 with about 2 minutes left in the second quarter.
Yeah, I wouldn't. That's actually not surprising because we are going to put something up, and we're going to get into all the stuff that we just talked about. But I definitely want to eventually get the team rankings as, kind of going by what we might think. And if Calvin is watching, please, I hope he is. I hope he's okay. So worried about him. That's such a worry. It's such a crazy thing. But if Calvin is watching, I want him to chime in whenever he can. So let's talk about the first thing. First things first. The NFL, 44,000 tests performed since the beginning of voluntary camps in the beginning of the summer. One positive. And the fans, 25% capacity at the stadiums. So, in your opinion, does the season finish? Because 44,000, one positive. But now we have the fans. Now we incorporate travel. Does that complicate the equation?
Yes, everything complicates the equation. But I've been optimistic about this stuff. Again, I think a total shutdown of a season involves multiple teams, involves being able to show that transmission is happening from team to team or that fans are getting it from each other. That's the kind of stuff that shuts down a season. I think that individual flare-ups on particular teams, just like we saw with the Marlins, I don't think that shuts down the season, and I think that stuff will happen. I mean, if you're asking, will we get through the whole fall without a single game being disrupted? That would be a little surprising, but I think we'll get a season because, again, I think team to team transmission is probably pretty unlikely given what we know about COVID, and I think fan to fan transmission is also pretty unlikely given the precautions they're taking. So I'm thinking, we'll get a season, but we could see a game or two with some hiccups.
No, we're going to
say particularly important players not playing because they're under quarantine.
So I 100%. I mean, there are so many people have said this season isn't going to go on. That's what they've said. All right. Now the thing that I'm going to say to you that it boggles my mind. They've had 44,000 tests, only one positive. And we had a segment on here a couple of episodes ago that Dak Prescott had his party. You know, he had his birthday party.
Yeah, but that,
30 plus people.
But it did turn out that was sort of not, it was not what was presented in the media. Like, I think
Fair enough. It ended up being a lot less, and people were actually social distancing, even though the pictures they took,
a while ago, right? People have gotten a little bit
smarter. I will say that the thing that I understand is that anytime you incorporate 17,000 people, me and you talked about this offline, that you're going to have a situation where you're going to have 17,000 people leaving the parking lot, leaving the stadium.
But again, if people are wearing masks when they have to be...
they can't get into the stadium without a mask, by the way.
So if you have to be wearing a mask, as long as you're... I mean, it's working in New York, right? Like, people... It's New York City. People are around each other, but because they have to wear masks when they can't social distance... it's better that, if you're outside, that's a lot better.
Yeah.
As our friend, Dr. J. Van Bavel,
he's like, he is
/COVID expert.
He is a COVID expert.
To share, you're about 20 times less likely to be able to successfully transmit COVID outside. So, it's like, it's definitely possible that this is not going to really significantly increase COVID spread.
And that's fine. And I hope not. More sports is good sports. But once again, we have one game going on today. This weekend, we're going to have all the games going on. And it's going to be, I know that each state is different because of the simple fact that each state has their own quarantine rules and their own rules. That being said, you start incorporating fans, start incorporating travel, we'll see. Hope that the season goes on. Hope that everything happens. Mm-hmm. That being, I want to quickly go over. Okay, so we touched on it. I got a couple people in the chat basically saying politics should stay out of sports. I want to address that really quick. I'm definitely going to address that really quick because here's the thing. I would love for sports to just be sports. Sports, if you watch this from episode 1, the very first thing I said to the people out there is that sports was always my escape. It was always the way that during stressful times, during the most stressful times, sports is the thing that got me to a place where I was the most clear. But the problem is the things that are going on in this country, the things that are going on sometimes around the world. You've had soccer games in, various countries protesting, hey, there's things going on in our country that we want fixed. Sports athletes have a platform that is 100% exposed to the world. Not thousands of people, not tens of thousands of people, millions of people watch certain athletes. And those athletes, in my opinion, have a responsibility to speak up and speak up on the side of good. Now, we don't want it to be all about the protests and the politics and everything like that. We don't need that. But I have no problem with a player wearing something on his jersey, no problem with a player speaking in an interview, having a question that says, hey, I want to answer this from a political standpoint, and then get to some basketball or get to some football or get to some baseball. I think politics should be kept away from sports as much as possible, but when it gets in, it's got to be for a good reason. And obviously the things that are going on right now are for a good reason. That being said, I will ask you the question because, we're going to get into a subject a little bit later that I think is very important. Steve Nash's comments as the Brooklyn Nets' new head coach, which were very powerful. I thought they were super awesome. I'm going to ask you the question, which is, how do you feel about the politics in the sports? And then football, NFL, we know the story between the NFL with Colin Kaepernick basically saying he kneeled. He was the first one to kneel. He was not protesting the military. He was not protesting the government. He was protesting police brutality specifically. Nothing about anything race-related or anything. He kneeled. In our opinion, I think all of us, including Calvin, agreed that the most respectful way to protest or to show respect to a person is to kneel. People kneel to the Pope. People kneel in various aspects. In sports,
they take a knee.
They take a knee to
respect for an injured player. It's actually a sports tradition.
It's a sports tradition. They also take a knee. I've been on sports teams where I took a knee to listen. I took a knee to listen to the coach, and the coach would say, "Take a knee." That being said, NFL total 360. They're totally flipping it around.
Well,
they're allowing people to protest.
Low man on the woke totem pole.
They really are
for a while. So it's good to see them kind of.
They're finally getting there. Voice your opinion. NFL 360. What do you think?
Well, I mean, in general, it's just the thing about politics and sports is that any sport is made up of individuals. And the last time I checked, and this is sort of funny to me because there's a lot of people who like to say, oh, freedom of speech, when they're saying really horrible things, right? You either have freedom of speech or you don't. I don't get this idea that just because, and maybe you don't like it, but it's like just because someone's an athlete or an actor, right? You also hear this at like, the Academy Awards and stuff. Like, oh, why do the actors have to talk about politics? Because they have the right to. Because they have freedom of speech, just like everybody else. And because you do a particular job, last time I checked, that didn't take away your right to speak your mind about the things you care about. So if you don't, I don't love politics. No. You're watching it a lot of the time, and I turn it off. She can't stand it. I don't want to get like upset about things that I can't control. Yes. But I completely respect anyone's right to say this is something I care about because, again, either we have that in this country or we don't. Yeah. So how can you say, oh, shut up and dribble? Like, no, last time I checked, that man has a right to speak his mind. And if someone puts a microphone in his face, we're all going to have to listen to it. Or don't watch.
Turn off the show.
Always your choice, right?
And obviously, there's been some athletes that are more vocal than others. Obviously, Colin Kaepernick did it by his action. LeBron James speaks it all the time. I've also said Mike Trout the other day did a press conference where he spoke his mind about his political views. Here's the thing. We, in this country, have a blessing and a disguise. If you go to China and you are an athlete and you speak out of turn, you are literally suspended for 90 days. That's how, and they do that because they don't want you speaking. So we have benefits and perks in this country.
Well, and sometimes it means you have to hear something you don't like. Yeah. But that's sort of the deal.
And the other thing by
the way, sometimes it means I have to hear that somebody thinks the Earth is flat. That's the thing I sometimes have to hear from an athlete. And I don't enjoy that. I enjoy it.
Recently, they said the Earth is a donut.
Who said it was a donut?
That was a flat earther.
You know what? I don't want to hear. Or like the moon landing didn't happen. Steph Curry had to walk that one back. That was fun for me.
Yeah, and we like Steph Curry, but left Steph Curry,
him.
but like
so he did. Look, we all have to hear things we don't like, people.
Yeah, it's true. You like Kyrie, your boy. He
don't get me started about Kyrie, but I respect his right to say the things he wants to.
Exactly.
They are,
and that's the point. Now, getting back to football, I want to say that I applaud the like I said in the opening monologue, I applaud the NFL for letting players speak their mind, protesting peacefully, always peacefully, and that's a good thing. But I'm going to put something up on the screen. Let's get back to sports, and I want to say really a quick whatever. I want to say hello to Angie, hi, Nancy. I want to give a hello to Arlene. Give a hello to Enter Zone. Give a hello to everybody else who's watching. If you haven't yet, hit the like button. Even if you don't like what we're saying, hit the like button just because you're a nice person. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We're not done with football yet because I want to put something up there. This is something I love to do. This is something that it's really awesome. This is the graphics based on the NFL teams being here. The NFL teams. It's the higher. So basically, the higher you are on this graphic and the bigger your logo is, the better you have a chance of winning it all. That's the bottom line.
I just want to say, this is Joseph made this, so Calvin and I have not weighed in on the relative placement.
No, but see, here's the thing. That's what you were supposed to do. That's what the show is. That's what we're doing on the air. That's what we're doing on live. The live air is that right now, we want to make sure that everybody in the chat tell us what you think about the graphic, and we're going to debate it right now, because right now, we have teams, and I wish Calvin was here. We do wish Calvin was here, clearly. There's some teams up here that are interesting. And I'll just go through a quick little sort of rundown for those who don't know. NFL, the Chiefs are the defending champions. So I always say in order to be the man, you got to beat the man. And right now, the Chiefs are the man. They are the champs. So you put them at the top, and they're still looking good. And they still have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Top 3 quarterbacks in Pat Mahomes. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I mean, they got Tom Brady, who was still pretty good. They had an amazing wide receiving crew. that did very well with Jameis Winston last year and he's not really a great quarterback. And they had a pretty decent defense, as well as they brought in Gronk. We hate Gronk from wrestling, but he's a phenomenal.
Gronk stinks as a wrestler, but he's great as a football player.
As a football player, he was one of the best tight ends of all time. I think.
Can I interrupt you quickly? Because
yes.
I'm distracted by the fact that the Eagles are not even on here. I'm distracted and offended by the fact that my birds are not even on here.
They're not.
And you
are
sleeping on the couch.
God.
Because that's messed up.
I did that. That is horrible to all Eagles fans. I think I did it on some level. I think I did it on purpose. I think I did it on purpose just to mess with her. She is an Eagles fan.
Fine.
No, so I will stop.
No, it's typical. That's the kind of thing that happens to us as fans. It's how you just perfectly encapsulated how we feel.
So we're going to fix that for next week. And I will say we did this in a rush right before the show went live. It was so ridiculous.
It's a royal we. I have nothing to do with this. But yeah.
If I put the Eagles, I would definitely put the Eagles like right around where the Colts and Giants are.
That's fair.
Yeah, they're not they have a team and they have things. I'm sure.
Angie's pointing out that they have no chance if they're not in the graphic. They literally.
Yeah, if they're not in the graphic, they have no chance.
Literally impossible.
Technically, the Miami Dolphins and the Bengals should not be on here. Neither one of those teams are coming anywhere near the playoffs. Yeah, so that was my mistake. That was a mistake that we made, and I was reminded by one of my favorite shows, PTI. It's okay to make a mistake. You always call out the mistakes live on air. Audience appreciates that. Here's what I will say. Looking at this graphic, I love picking. I love picking predictions.
I know you do.
I do.
It's almost like I'm kind of lucky you don't have a gambling addiction because you really do like making predictions.
I think my gambling addiction stopped when I realized very early on in my life you don't gamble with what you don't have.
Yeah.
So,
you don't like
and basically, so I definitely want to do this. So bringing this back up, and this is the last time I'm going to say, I 100% think the Chiefs could repeat. I 100% think that they could be back in the Super Bowl. I 100% think that the Tampa Bay Rays who are in the NFC can make it to the Super Bowl. Listen, I'm a Giants fan. I would love to put the Giants higher than that. I don't think the Giants, every time you think the Giants are going to do something happens with an injury, something happens with them not executing. Look, they have a new coach, and okay, let's see what he can do, and we're looking forward to that. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be Tampa Bay and the and the Rams and the Green Bay Packers. I worry about the Green Bay Packers because Aaron Rodgers had so much heat in the offseason because Aaron Rodgers is the best or close to the best quarterback in the league. And at the end of the day, they drafted a quarterback. So I wonder how much that's going to weigh on them. Chicago Bears have a great defense, but no quarterback. And they needed to get a quarterback, and they don't have a quarterback. So, and your Eagles, who I left off of here, definitely could win that NFC East. I will never, ever, ever, because I am a Giants fan, and I cannot do it because I don't want to do it. I won't put the Dallas Cowboys up there. Now, can the Dallas Cowboys win some games? Yes. Do they have players? Yes. They have a brand new head coach. That is going to be a problem. The chemistry is not there. I don't think they're going to compete. Chemistry. Yeah, we're going to get to that in a second.
I like that you pretend that they don't exist. That's fun.
They don't exist. So what do you think?
By the way, we're at 17-7 at the half. It's halftime now.
There you go. And that's the Chiefs. The Chiefs are coached well, and they have great players.
Sorry, Angie, about the Texans.
I know. Look, the Texans. Well, Angie isn't from.
She's not from there, but
Yeah, she's not rooting for the Texans. Come on, she's got a lot more sense than that. We know that. I would love to know what people's teams are in the chat. So if you see something up there that you just don't like, put it in there.
I think we need to move it along.
No, I want to ask you one question.
Okay.
On this graphic, what do you think is the thing that surprises you or could be out there? Tell me. What is the thing that's making you go?
Surprised me?
Yeah.
Well, the thing that surprised me was that the Eagles.
Well, not only surprised you. Well, yes, that was pretty bad. What do you think is? Do you think there's something massively wrong or right, or would you agree with something?
Yeah, no,
what do you think?
No, this seems good. I don't have any. Nothing seems crazy. By the way, the Cowboys are on there. Isn't that the star?
That is the. I didn't say the Cowboys weren't on there.
I thought you said they don't. You didn't put them on there.
I just won't say they're going to win. I'm sorry. I am 100, and I will say this.
No, it looks about right.
I would 100% say that I am biased. I am biased.
Yeah, no.
Because I won't ever say the Cowboys are going to win. If the Cowboys don't win another Super Bowl for the rest of my life.
Angie says Texans who. So
exactly. That's my point.
All right, now.
No, the Cowboys are on there, Angie. She said the Cowboys are missing. They're on there. So, that being said, and the thing that I want to say is that the last thing I say is that the NFL season, we are looking forward to it, is exciting, and I cannot wait to see what happens with that. So, once again, if you haven't hit the like button, and if you haven't if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do so. We need subscribers. We are doing it. We are moving on because the U.S. Open, is happening. We like to give it a little brief check of the U.S. Open because the U.S. Open is a part of the U.S. Open is a part of the major sports. I love tennis, and I've said this many times on the league before. And the thing about the U.S. Open is that I feel like what's happening though is that you got the final sort of like people on there, and it's like it's hard to tell because we don't know who's playing after the Djokovic incident that happened this week. This is the men's semifinals. This is what's happening. I don't know who any of these guys are. I don't know one name on here. And it's just kind of amazing to me because I say to myself, all right, if I don't know who they are, I can't root for anybody there. And that's a problem.
Weird. It's weird. The women, though. By the way, we have an update on that, on the women's one.
The women's, please tell me, what's the update?
Do you have the women's one up?
I'm going to put the women's one up right now, but what is the women's one? I hope it's a good update because I really want to see Serena and Osaka, but let's hold on. I'm gonna put the women's up right there because this is the women's right now.
Jennifer Brady.
Okay.
In 3 sets. She actually lost one set, but then she won.
Okay.
And so she just won. So Osaka moves on to the finals, and currently Serena Williams and Victoria Azarenka are playing now. So,
really?
Yeah.
So that's the. This has been all about the women. Tennis has been all about the women putting up these amazing matches. I think that because Serena has been so good, she is the best, I think, the best tennis player of all time. However, arguably, you could say she's one of the best. Here's the thing. Since she's been at the top for so long, had a baby, came back now, is in the semifinals of the U.S. Open. That's pretty amazing. I mean, you go through that change. Your body goes through the change. You could speak to this.
I'd rather not think about it right now. But yes, your body goes through the change.
It goes through changes after having a baby. And to get yourself back into playing shape is
badass. That is awesome.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. But the thing that amazes me, too, is, so first of all, you're not really a tennis person. However, does it excite you to see Serena Williams versus Osaka?
Yes, totally, right? It's yes, I don't follow. I know some of the names, but yes, it's very, very exciting. Those are two amazing women. Going to be extraordinary athletes. It's going to be fun to watch.
Here's the thing. You knew, and I'm going to say this, you very wholeheartedly, I want you to. Do you know any of these guys? Because I don't.
See it. Hold on, I have to wait till it comes up on my.
I don't see it.
I have heard of Medvedev. That's his name. Well, he's the third ranked player. I mean, he's not like a minor person. It's just that a lot of the ones that everybody knows are out right now.
Yeah.
And frankly, a lot of the like Russian sounding names can just be really hard to keep track of. So it's a fluency thing. It's just hard. It's hard to my American ear.
Well, I think that's definitely the truth. But here's my question. You know, like, this was Djokovic's time.
Oh, the women's bracket, we're losing audio when it's on the screen.
No, but I got it. We fixed that.
It?
So
okay,
that is good. Here's the thing. What I will say is that the women have competitive matches. Like, everybody wants to see Serena Williams versus Osaka. That's the 4 and the 3. And, you know, like, it should be the case. And who would you be rooting for if that happened?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I actually, personally, I think that that's just going to be awesome. I think that I have to look up what their record is against one another. I know.
That would be a good thing, because one of the things that I know is that Serena, because in the last couple of years she was away, they haven't played each other as much as...
Yeah, I mean, I think they might be...
They haven't played as much as they would have played if she was actually playing, but she was away for quite a bit of time. And because she was away, at the end of the day, it did not they didn't get to play each other as much. So that being said, and that, you know, something that happens over and over and over is that when you have two players that are pretty good, not playing each other as much, but now they could develop a rivalry. Serena's on her way out. She's probably got another year or two that she's going to play. And that being said, we want to see the best versus the best. However, what I will tell you is that very excited, not excited, but it sucks because this was Djokovic's time. This was his time. This was what he wanted to win this, and it was pretty amazing. We had some footage. Everybody saw everybody saw what he did to the line judge, immediately reacted, and guess what? He got thrown out of the U.S. Open. He went from possibly making close to $4 million to about $2 million, which is amazing. But all because he got frustrated, hit the ball at the line judge's throat. I wish we had the footage, but unfortunately, apparently an MP4 file is not being accepted by Wirecast, which is beautiful.
Oh,
so that being said, I'm sure everybody has seen the footage happen a couple days ago. The tennis ball went right at the line judge's throat. She was a little extra. I thought she was crying a bit.
I mean, that's gotta hurt.
I've been hit in the head with a tennis ball and a baseball, and yes, it hurts.
Great.
But
yes, because that's relevant here.
I'm just saying. Right. She was a little. But that being said, they have a rule. The rule is if you do anything aggressive to a line judge, whether by incidental or on purpose, you're automatically disqualified. So he was automatically disqualified. I know he felt bad about it, because you almost see the minute that he hit the ball and noticed that it wasn't even like a second later. He runs, like he kind of walks in and says, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." It was not done on purpose, but he was disqualified, and now you have these no names in the semifinals. By
the way, I think what I'm finding is that their record is 2-1. So Naomi Osaka won the Miami Masters and the U.S. Open matches against Serena Williams, but then Serena Williams won the 2019 Canadian Masters. So they're, evenly matched, which makes it exciting.
And fair, and evenly matched, and I understand that completely. But my thing is, it's going to be evenly matched. It's going to be a great match. I'm going to watch it. But my thing is that I don't think for a second that, I feel like Serena should win that. I know Osaka's coming up, but it's like, okay, she is the best, and she's still proving it. That's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. But my question is, did you think that Djokovic deserved to get thrown out of the tournament?
You don't have a choice. I mean, as much
really?
as it's a bummer. Yeah, no, you really don't. I mean, they cannot have players doing things that even inadvertently, again, it's not that he was doing something in the normal course of play that accidentally injured a line judge. He'd never get disqualified for that. He'd never get pulled out. He was throwing a tantrum, and he did it. And you cannot allow players to throw tantrums that injure other people. And so it sucks because it was obviously not intentional at all. But I think you can't say like, oh, because then really, I mean, what's this like? So then if somebody throws a racket and it bounces up and hits a line judge in the head, like, is that okay? If we're gonna say, they weren't trying to hit the line judge, but
Yeah.
like, you just can't do that stuff. Like, don't throw a tantrum. Be an adult.
Yes.
It stinks. Find another way to like get your aggression out, but don't do something that could injure somebody else. Like, I don't think they have a choice there. It's a bummer. I feel bad for him. But
It is.
You got to control yourself. That's the thing.
100%. Like, that's a pocket. I believe once again, Eddie Murphy, Raw, 1987. Imagine you have a certain amount of money and you have to give up half. Mm-hmm. Remember that whole bit?
Yes, I do. Is that on your mind now? The
yes.
That
no, I wasn't even thinking that.
That's
wow.
what that is. She gets half. That's what that joke is. That you're
forgetting, but I'm talking about the fact that no, that's not even on my mind. But I'm talking about the fact that he had $4 million, and imagine $4 million and you lose 3.2 million of it. Just like I think that would hurt anybody. He seriously must never throw a temper tantrum ever again.
And, he didn't. I mean, honestly, he took the punishment.
And he did, and he was afterwards was very responsible.
Yeah, so he handled it as well as you can. He made a mistake. I don't think he'll do it again, So there you go.
It's true. One of the things that we do know is that that's going to be a good match, Serena Osaka, and Djokovic is not there, but we will have a new men's champion for the U.S. Open. So that will be awesome. Once again, if you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button. We are pushing on to the next topic so that we are somewhat on time today, even though we were late. At the end of the day, tennis is awesome, but we're going to move on to basketball. And basketball we're going to start, obviously. We're going to get to the NBA playoffs because the NBA playoffs are going on right now, and they're super exciting. It's been so many good games. But this past Monday into Tuesday, Steve Nash was introduced as the the Brooklyn Nets head coach. And he is coming to the Brooklyn Nets as being a all-star point guard, two-time MVP. He knows basketball. For those who don't know out there in basketball, when you are a point guard, you are a coach on the floor. So everybody who says, oh, he hasn't been a coach or an assistant coach, the fact that I say is that if you are going to be a coach in the league, you got to be able to have some general presence, some leadership skills. He has the leadership skills. They introduced him. We're going to show a video right now, and some of it is interesting because some of it deals with basketball and politics. The first thing we're going to do is get the politics out of the way of his introduction. So we want to roll that footage.
And how do you feel about that? And two, having not been an assistant coach, but obviously having played the game at a high level, are there things that you think you might not have as a head coach that you missed by not being an assistant, and how do you compensate for that?
Well, I did skip the line.
You can't put any new batteries.
I'll get it.
But at the same time, I think leading an NBA team for almost 2 decades is pretty unique. So while I haven't necessarily learned some of the skills that I'll definitely seek to understand and learn as far as the technical aspects of coaching, I was never far from that. And so to lead a team is such a unique position, to be the head of the team on the floor, to think on the fly, to manage personalities and people, skill sets, to bring people together, collaborating with a coach and a coaching staff for almost 2 decades. I mean, it's not like I was in a vacuum. I learned a tremendous amount during my career.
What's your reaction to the debate over whether you got this job because of white privilege? Former players have taken sides. Just wondered where you sit on this.
Well, I have benefited from white privilege. Our society has a lot of ground to make up. I'm not saying that this position was a factor as far as white privilege being a factor in this position, but I think as white people, we have to understand that we are served a privilege and a benefit by the color of our skin in our communities. And we have a long way to go to find equality and social and racial justice. So, I hope that I'm a great ally to that cause. This is something that Clara and Josiah have really made an incredible gesture to help within our organization, but also in our communities to help stem the gap in racial injustice. And so I'm very sensitive to the cause and the goal. I'm not sure that this is an example that purely fits that conversation, but I own it, and I understand why that's important to talk about it, and that we do need more diversity, more opportunity for African American coaches and staff in all capacities. This league was built through African American players and stars that have made this, one of the greatest entertainment industries, businesses, and sports in the world. So it's really important that we continue to come together and fight. I think at the league level, Commissioner Silver has been incredible at embracing, the cause and the fight for equality. So I want to be here to fight for that as well.
So that was definitely Nash talking about, a few topics. Well, first of all, him cutting the line. That was the first question that basically, how do you feel that you cut the line? Because he has no coaching experience. He's never been an assistant coach. He's never been a head coach anywhere else. He has worked with players. He has consulted. We're going to get to the basketball aspect of his interview, which is great. The second question, obviously, the white privilege question. That's the politics. That's asking the question that, there are a lot of, and for those who don't know, there are a lot of African-American coaches that have been assistant coaches for years. Sam Cassell, Patrick Ewing, Jock Vaughn, so many other coaches in the league that have never gotten a head coach's job, as well as Mark Jackson, who is responsible for the Golden State Warriors dynasty that he developed Steph Curry. He had an input in picking Draymond Green and Klay Thompson, and then was relieved of his duties. Now, for those who don't know, Mark Jackson was relieved of his duties because he was basically preaching church in practice and things of that nature. Owners felt that it wasn't the appropriate thing to do. And he said he didn't want to go another style. I think that has scared some general managers away from the Mark Jackson coaching. That being said, you heard what Steve Nash said. He was asked some very direct, tough questions, but how did you feel he answered it, and what are your feelings on what he said?
I think he was trying to be very honest, right? Which is, it's just silly I've talked about this before. It's just silly when white people pretend that it's not a thing, right? And I actually literally, I think, complained about this, that, the idea that you have certain maybe assumptions that work in your favor as a white male, he doesn't have such a big ego that he can't handle admitting would a black player with his same profile have gotten the job?
No, that's been a major complaint.
Almost certainly not, right? And so I think he's a big enough person to admit that that's true.
Yes.
It doesn't mean he's not qualified for the job. It just means that he's acknowledging that the system isn't fair, and it's not. So
and the thing that I'll say is to compare. Steve Kerr got that same heat. However, Steve Kerr was a general manager before he became a coach with the Phoenix Suns. But a lot of people said, why did Steve Kerr get the general manager position?
Right.
He went from being a player on the Bulls to being a general manager at the Phoenix Suns. He did a great job.
I know. You got to come from somewhere. I think people believe in Steve Nash. He has worked with developing talent. He is a really smart strategist.
And he was a point guard, which is a coach on the floor.
And he's got
he was good at his job.
A good relationship with KD, which is going to be really important.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that in a second. But the thing that I loved about his answers to the press was that it was genuine. It is honest. He knows he got a lucky break. He knows that maybe that had something to do with it. And what was amazing is in that interview, the general manager who hired him is sitting right next to him. So I'm wondering that is really a question that if Steve Nash doesn't answer that question that way, honestly, then he's going to look like something's wrong. Maybe people start calling him a racist or something like that, which Steve Nash is not. He is literally his godson is RJ Barrett, who plays for the Knicks, and couldn't be more of an open-minded gentleman and a great basketball player and a great basketball mind. However, I wonder if they would have posed that question to the Brooklyn Nets general manager and say, "What did white privilege have anything to do with it?" Of course, they're going to say no.
Well,
but
yeah, I mean that's like basically like asking someone, "Did you have any biases like seep into your decision making?" And the answer to that question is always yes. And the answer to that question is always, "But I didn't know that," right? So like
yes.
On some level, it's like nobody literally probably, I hope, right, said like, his whiteness just really gives me a lot of confidence. Like nobody said that, right? And nobody thinks that influenced them. But but of course it did, right? Because a lot of this stuff is unconscious. So
yes.
And that's the point. Like, and until white privilege isn't a thing anymore, the answer to the question, "Do you think you benefited from white privilege if you're white?" is always yes.
Yes.
It is 100% always yes.
There are some people that we've spoken to or that are on Facebook that don't believe white privilege exists.
That's right. And I talked about why. Like it's people don't like the idea that they can't. People feel like if you say something like that, it takes the credit away from them, right? Like it's like, "Oh, I didn't earn this. I'm just getting it from the color of my skin," which is also something that people of color have dealt with around affirmative action.
Yep.
There's and women deal with all the time when there's like initiatives to try to get more women in leadership, right, in companies. And you have that feeling of like, do people think I'm just here because I got special treatment? And white people don't like that either. The point though is that white people do get special treatment. So like we all just need to like just deal with it. Like it's reality. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're not qualified for your job. It doesn't mean you're not awesome. Steve Nash is awesome.
He is good. And it doesn't mean you're going to be bad at your job.
He's a big enough person to admit it.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean you didn't deserve the job, but it does mean that there is something systematic at the top that is wrong. Other people might have
deserved it as much as you won't get the same shot.
Yes.
It's just the reality. So.
I think the best thing is that Sam Cassell has been an assistant coach and was a great player and was a point guard for many years. He is now the Clippers assistant coach, so he's gonna get a ring this year, maybe. Even though you picked the Lakers. We'll get into that in a second.
Can we get into that?
Yeah, we'll get into that, but we got one more video. There. This is the basketball part of Steve Nash. Come
on. The next question will come from Vincent Goodwill of Yahoo Sports.
Hey, Steve, congrats again on the job. You've played for so many different coaches throughout your career. When you envision yourself on the sidelines, what do you think your style is going to be, your own personal identity? Will you be pulling from a Don Nelson, a Mike D'Antoni, or will it be some type of mixture, combination? Like, how do you envision yourself?
It's a great question. I mean, it's yet to be seen. I don't see myself as a yeller and screamer, but I haven't actually been over there yet. So we'll see what transpires. But I think the reality is I'm going to be myself. And if I'm anything other than myself, it's not going to work. So I think I can't come in trying to conform to what I think a coach is supposed to be. I just have to be myself, build and support my team, put us in a position to have a lot of joy every day when we come into work, and come together and build chemistry and a belief and bond and a family.
The next question will come from Ian Bagley from Fan2Fan.
Steve, what's your relationship like with Kyrie Irving? And, how long have you guys known each other? Have you gotten a chance to speak with him since taking the job? And how do you envision coaching a player, point guard of that talent level?
Well, first of all, Kyrie is one of my favorite players of all time. He's brilliant, skill level, historically off the charts, creative, guts, competitiveness. So for me to get to coach him is really a pleasure.
So what's so interesting about that, besides the word chemistry? Oh, because chemistry builds championships. Chemistry. Mm-hmm. When you're basketball, you got to trust your players. Basketball and soccer got to trust the players. That being said, and the bottom line is that this man knows exactly what is happening with basketball. He knows that he has to develop his own style with basketball. He knows that he has to develop a relationship with his players. He already has a relationship with Kevin Durant. He sort of has a relationship with Kyrie Irving. But there's an entire team. He has to develop a camaraderie and chemistry with Jared Allen. He has to and get Jared Allen to be a better defensive player, better rebounder. He has to get Karis LeVert to be that third scorer, that second option, that third option. And he has to get chemistry with Spencer Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert, who have basically play the same position, as well as Kyrie playing point guard, coming off injury. And he has to have his players healthy. The bottom line is that this team could make the Eastern Conference players. But what do you think about what was said? I mean, I think he said the perfect thing. I need my own style. I need chemistry with my team. And Kyrie, my stars, need to know that I got their back.
Yeah. I mean, what's to say? That was a great response, right?
I believe in him. I believe in Steve Nash. Mm-hmm. He made me, but I liked him already because I heard him when he interviewed Kobe Bryant, and when he last year he did a interview with him, and he interviewed a couple of the players. I remember saying, "Wow, he's really adept at just knowing basketball."
You know, it's nice. It's nice when sometimes a sure thing is a nice thing, but sometimes it's just exciting to know. We're all gonna get to know what he is like as a head coach for the first time next year, which makes me with a team that has not gotten to play with their biggest star at all last year. And
it's a completely new team next year.
It's a completely new team with two of the biggest the best players in the NBA, and now kind of an exciting new coach to watch. So it's going to be exciting. We're going.
We were supposed to go to Brooklyn Nets games. We're going to be there. And anybody who goes to a Nets game, we will be there. And we want you to come and say hi. We will have a tent and all that stuff and backstage media credentials. That's what's happening.
Let's talk about how we're doing, though.
We got news.
I got news.
You got news? This is news.
The game ended.
Oh, what's happening? Who is it?
Oh, the Lakers beat the Rockets.
I knew that was going to. They're up 3-1, and the Clippers are going to be up 3-1, and it's going to be Clippers in Los Angeles.
Clippers are up 3-1.
The Clippers are up 3-1. We're going to see this. This is the Western Conference Finals right here. It's going to be Lakers, Clippers, and we're going to see the best versus the best. It's 1 and 2. You could say 1A, 1B. Kawhi Leonard versus LeBron James. Clippers versus this battle for LA dominance. And here's the bottom line. The bottom line is I picked the Clippers. Heidi picked the Lakers. So we're going to see who wins that. I believe that man, the cerebral assassin, he is an assassin. Kawhi Leonard is a cyborg.
Kawhi jersey, but I'm sorry. LeBron is playing really well.
LeBron is playing really well, and that team is starting to come together. They're developing chemistry. Yes, they are. They are.
So just sure that you're going to put the...
I'm going to put this up. So once again, this is where the NBA playoffs stand. Obviously, updated. The Lakers are 3-1 over Houston. I didn't think Houston was going to be competitive. I thought that was going to be at best, at worst case scenario, a game 6 series. The Clippers are going to beat that. That's going to close in 5 because Denver looked horrible. But I think the biggest shock is Miami beating the Bucks. They beat the Bucks soundly. It wasn't close. It wasn't competitive. We talked about that last weekend. The Miami Heat are unbelievably ready to challenge. And I think it's going to be Boston. But Toronto took the Celtics to Game 7. That's going to be exciting tomorrow.
Yes, it is.
That's going to be exciting. We're going to be watching that. That's on the docket.
We're gonna watch that.
It's a Game 7. Toronto, the defending champions against the Celtics, and the defending champions look like they don't miss Kawhi. Could we see the Kawhi Leonard Clippers go up against the Kawhi Leonard Toronto Raptors?
Do you know why? Because what we're gonna see is actually the Lakers.
Wow.
Not the Clippers.
Of course you say that. Okay, and that's fair. Stick to your guns. That's fair.
Because my guns are awesome.
Listen. I want to say, and the thing that I want to say, and I want to bring this up, the fact that Miami is in the Eastern Conference Finals, this team, Eric Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler, is making me say, and I said, the one thing I said right before COVID hit, is I said Miami is going to surprise some people. Mm-hmm. This team is not scared of anybody, and Andre Iguodala, who is a defending champion, Pat Riley in the front office, Eric Spoelstra, he knows how to coach, Jimmy Butler's tough as nails. The playoffs are looking good, and I'm very happy that this happened. But look, I will throw something back up here. If you have can let's say the Lakers, let's say for example the Lakers do make it to the NBA Finals, okay? They beat the Clippers, which is going to be a hard ass. The Clippers are deeper, but let's say they beat the Clippers. Do you think that Miami, Pat Riley's not going to say, no, I want to beat you and motivate his guys more?
Yes. By the way, I just want to do something. So can you show the picture? So show the picture of Pat Riley in the suit, right?
Yeah, we got to get there.
Well, it was up.
I know.
Through.
I know. It'll cycle through,
Okay.
but yes.
Well, I just want to do a contrast. Okay, so it's going to cycle through. Okay,
yes.
Because I want to just show. Hang on, I have to wait for it.
Well, what are you trying to say?
I want to make a point about how. So look at that man right now.
Yes.
Right. That's what he looks like now.
Yes.
And then
he looks happy.
I think he's actually what I think he's starting to look like is like more Cuban, if that's possible. Like he got. Like the man is Irish, right? And he's just starting to look like he's plausibly like an older Latino gentleman.
Well, he's lived in South Beach.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I think the area is sort of rubbing off on Pat Riley, like in a good way.
First of all,
he looks
when
happy, he looks tan, he looks stylish.
In the 80s and 90s, when he coached the Lakers and coached the Knicks, he looked Italian. He looked like a good fellow.
He does.
And now he's lived in South Beach since 2001 and I'm sure has been living a very nice life considering he's one of the highest paid presidents of like he gets paid pretty much unlimited budget.
When we go to Miami, we look at like that.
That's true. Miami Joseph.
He does actually refer to himself in the
Miami Joseph.
As Miami.
Miami Joseph consists of a lot of tank tops and cigars and very tan. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing.
Very large drinks. Yeah,
it's very large, bad for you sugary drinks.
Arlene says he looks leathered. He does. He's got that sun. He looks a little bit like not you, Pat Riley.
No, of course, yes. And what I want to say is really quick, Nancy did point out that Steve Nash is the 23rd head coach in the franchise for the Nets. So that's interesting. That's a fun fact because I knew they had a lot
of coaches.
That is a lot of coaches. But you got to remember they weren't just Brooklyn; they were New Jersey before. Since the 70s. So,
since the 70s, really?
Yeah, since the 70s, the Nets came from the ABA over. Now, so you're still sticking with your pick.
I am.
Lakers. We're gonna see Lakers Clippers. Miami. Who are you going with? Boston and Toronto. Who's your pick there?
That's hard. It's very, very hard.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Boston, just because I think you're gonna go Toronto, and this will make it more fun.
No, I know. Look, honestly, I'm going Boston. So we're in agreement there. Okay. I think Boston has the star power, and I think that Jason Tatum got a little mad at the end of the last game, and I think you're going to see that Kobe Mamba mentality from Jason Tatum, who was a mentor. Kobe Bryant was his mentor very directly.
Arlene's picking the Raptors.
She's picking the Raptors. Well,
they do have Siakam.
Listen, Siakam was the best player in the finals last year. Okay, he was. You could.
Yeah, it is.
Kawhi was the best player in the playoffs, but
yeah. No, it's good.
That being said, I'm picking the Celtics. I hate picking a Boston team. It hurts my soul as a New Yorker. That being said, Boston has the better team. I think they should win this. And it's we were watching Ted the other day. I love that movie. Ted 2 is probably better. But that being said, we're gonna have Miami versus Boston or the Raptors. We're going to have an all-LA Western Conference Finals. It's going to be exciting. I love this. We are going to be covering this next week, and it is, obviously the NBA playoffs as we go forward are going to be good. We're going to have a weekend of football. One quick wrestling note. So the man formerly known as Rusev is now officially in All Elite Wrestling and had a very blasphemous promo, which we're going to check out right after this is over. He actually kind of blasted WWE, which is awesome. But
just 2 quick updates.
Yes.
Serena Williams took the first set 6-1.
Oh, Jesus.
So that is a pretty good sign. And
she's dominating.
Also, the Chiefs are up 24-7 in the about a minute left in the third. So.
Yeah. The Chiefs. Let me tell you something. The Chiefs are their coach. It's the same team. They lost nobody, and it's the same team. Like, why wouldn't we expect them to win? And Pat Mahomes is healthy. He was not healthy the last 6 games of the season, so he's healthy now. He's young, and that team's looking good. Serena is dominant. She's gonna I think she's gonna beat Osaka. Like, I love Osaka, and I hope she is the future. But Serena's got one more Grand Slam left in her, and this is a Grand Slam. She's gonna rise to the occasion. That being said, anything you want to... First of all, thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, because at the end of the day, we can't do this without you. Anything you want to say to the people?
I mean, we can do it without you.
It'd just be boring. It would be very boring.
And lame. No, thank you guys for tuning in. We miss Calvin as much as all of you, so hopefully...
Very much.
Hopefully by next week, he's got his internet back. Looking very forward to, in a couple of weeks... Calvin being here in the
he's
studio.
He's going to be here in studio.
Amazing.
That is October 8th. He is coming to New York.
He and I are going to sit on this chair together. We're going to just...
You're just going to be there? I just realized we need to get another chair.
Yeah, and a microphone. We'll make it all work.
No, we have the third microphone, but we have to get another chair.
So that's an exciting thing.
Yes.
The show is 3 things to do.
Please.
Had a good episode this week. If you haven't checked it out, how to get yourself to walk away when things aren't working.
Which I want to say, in my entire life, I've had about probably a dozen different... between relationships, opportunities, career things, just situations that I should have walked away about half the time before I did.
Yeah.
So that's a real thing.
Exactly. So there's always advice people need. And then next week we're gonna be talking about how to have big ideas, like how to set the conditions so that your brain does awesome things for you.
I love it.
So
this woman knows a lot about. If you listen to the advice that she gives, it really will help you day to day in your life, whether in your career, relationships, personal, any of that stuff. She definitely knows that. Want to say really quick, because I think this is worth noting, one of the things that we need so bad, we need to hit 1,000 subscribers, and we've been touting it for weeks now, how we're going to have some subscriber giveaways and things of that nature coming up soon. But like in the last month and a half, we went from 100 subscribers to 240 subscribers. We love it. So everybody watching, if you can, please tell a friend. We need more subscribers. Obviously, we're a long way from 1,000, but we're almost to 250, which I think is awesome. And anybody watching right now, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Tell a friend. Follow us on at Fan2Fan Show on social media. The more fans we get to watch, the more we'll have some chat going on in the chat, the more fun that will be. We appreciate everybody for all the comments you make in the chat. Once again, we love the comments. We love the camaraderie that happens in the chat. It's what we do. That being said, we're going to sign off. I picked the Clippers. She picked the Lakers. We got Arlene picking the Raptors. We both picked the Celtics. Calvin, I believe, picked the Raptors, so he's probably agreeing. And on top of that, we got a few other people that have told me privately that they think that LeBron is going to win a championship because that's what they do. However, want everybody to be safe. We will definitely get Calvin to update us on his status in the next couple of hours, put something on social media if he can, and we hope that he's okay. Spoke to him a few hours ago. He said everything was okay except that he has no power. So no power means can't charge the phone, can't have internet, and all that stuff. So it's really bad. We will get an update. But we love him, miss him, hope he's safe. We want everybody out there to be safe. Keep being safe. Wear your mask. Social distance. It is what is needed for right now. A couple of months, we might not need it. We might have a vaccine. However, at this point, we don't. So let's be cognizant of other people and make sure that we keep that in account. We love you all. Have a good night. Peace out.